Hi everyone, this is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here today with another episode of Witch BookTube, and today's book. It's been a minute since I've had this reaction to a book. Woo! Okay, this book is called Ancestral Medicine, Rituals for Personal and Family Healing by Dr. Danielle Foor. You guys, this book, get it. I mean, maybe that needs to be the end. Get the book, the end. Basically, there's a link to it below. Pause and order the book right now. Run, don't walk. Get this book. I give it a 5 on Goodreads, and the only reason I give it a 5 is because I can't give it a 10. Nobody's got a scale from 1 to 10. It is that good. I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to really quickly read the bio for this writer, and we'll see how it goes, because I feel like all I really need to tell you is go get the book, but I will say more. I will definitely say more. Okay, Danielle Foor, PhD, is a licensed psychotherapist and a doctor of psychology. He has led ancestral and family healing intensives throughout the United States since 2005. He is an initiate in the Ifa Orisha tradition of Yoruba-speaking West Africa and has trained with teachers of Mahayana, Buddhism, Islamic Sufism, and different indigenous paths, including the older ways of his European ancestors. He lives in Asheville, North Carolina. I will try to link it below because I don't actually see it here. He has a website and he teaches classes that I'm actually going to take one because I'm just so impressed with everything he did with this book. I can't. Because I feel so excited about this book. I actually can't even coordinate my ideas to share them with you. So I'm going to keep using the book to do that. And I'm going to read to you what the table of contents is for this book, because he goes into depth into so much. The book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is Foundations of Ancestor Work. So within that part, there are several different chapters. I'll read you the headlines and a couple of the subpoints. The first chapter, he talks about his personal journey with the ancestors, making initial contact, family research and personal healing, and learning and teaching ancestral work. And he goes into the teachers that he has had and from which traditions those belong to. And those teachers, in quotes, make appearances throughout the book. Chapter 2, Who are the ancestors? The dead are not dead. Family and remembered ancestors, older ancestors, and the collective dead. Chapter 3, Spontaneous ancestral contact through dreams, synchronicity, waking contact in non-ordinary states, and waking contact with ordinary states, and he defines what those are. Also, each of these chapters has 1 to several exercises that you can do and rituals that you can do for making contact and working in different ways with your ancestors. He goes into ancestor reverence and ritual. Part 2 is about healing with lineage and family ancestors and doing the work of healing the line. Chapter titles for this section are Family Research and Initiating Ancestral Healing, Meeting with Ancestral Guides, Lineage Ancestors and the Collective Dead, Assisting the Remembered Dead, and Integration and Work with Living Family. In this chapter, he also talks about things like embodiment, channeling, and mediumship, which is really advanced work. We'll be talking a little bit about aspecting and embodiment with deities with the November Witches box. But this is powerful work. This is advanced work. It's powerful work. He talks a lot about how to do that. He talks about setting safety mechanisms and measures in place for doing this type of work. There's so much. So section 3 or part 3 is about honoring other types of ancestors, identifying what those are, ancestors and place, public memorials and monuments, ancestors of the natural world, 9 suggestions for honoring ancestors of place. So that is when so many of us no longer live on the land of our original peoples. We are transient people throughout the globe. I don't live on the land of my people, and yet this land that I live on has ancestors tied to it, and there is often the case where you connect with them in some way through your work. So he talks about what that's like, what that can be, how to not appropriate cultures that are not your own by doing this type of work, which I think is really important to say. He speaks a lot about that. Affinity ancestors, multiple souls, and reincarnation. This chapter is there was a section in it, I wish I can find it, because this is the part that I listened to an audiobook. I've read this book and did some of the reading through audio because I was driving around a lot and I just couldn't put the book down. So I thought, I'm just going to download the audio too so that I can have it going on. In any case, I don't know that I can do this part justice, but there is some thought and belief that you and your soul are not one, that your soul is made up of different strands of other souls that have been before, and that sometimes in the long lineage of ancestors that you come from, old souls have come back through you, mixed in with other soul strands to make you your unique soul expression. And he said something to the effect of that there are times when you find that you are speaking the name and honoring and doing veneration rituals for a specific ancestor that might in fact now be part of you. Like, my mind exploded. And he goes into that, and I can't even repeat it all because I'm still really trying to integrate and digest that reality. That is part 3. Oh, and then joining the ancestors. This is also really important. We don't talk about this, but preparing for death, funeral rites, and the body after death, ritual tending in the first year after death. There are exercises around that and rituals around that he offers. There's an appendix here that's really important called Distinguishing Talking with Spirits from Psychosis. This is important. We need to be able to assess ourselves in our mental health spectrum. I mean, gosh, there's so much. There's so much. One of the things that I found that really spoke to me, which speaks and spoke to that part of me that has had challenges around working with ancestors, is he walks us through in this book how to deal with the various ways of dealing with ancestors who are still problematic, who still embody or hold problematic energy or frequency from when they were alive, dysfunctions, negative behaviors, things that might be harmful. I used to walk around feeling like I couldn't say no. Like that once you open the door to working with your ancestors, you got the whole lot of them and you had no choice about who yes and who no. And it took me a long time to recognize that, just like the hard-won skill of being able to set boundaries in my living life, those work across the veil as well. You can say, I will work with you, but I'm not working with you. You are not okay until you've reached a certain level of health. He speaks to those boundaries, and he also speaks to then, with the help of your well ancestors, working together to then, if the problematic ancestor is willing to do elevation ritual, to do healing work with that being, so that then they can be part of the well group. Does that make sense? And for me, when I learned that, it was really quite revolutionary, because for a very long time, I had a lot of challenges around the fact that I believed that if I worked with my ancestors, I would not be able to say no, that somehow it was inappropriate to deny your ancestors anything. And my personal walk in this life has entailed really learning how to set healthy boundaries for myself about how this is okay, but this is not okay. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts. There need to be certain boundaries that we can set in our lives to feel safe, to feel healthy, to move forward in the way that we want to move. And because I had this belief that I couldn't do that with my ancestors, I really had a lot of avoidance around working with them in general. That said, I've had really enriching, healing relationships with specific ancestors, but that belief held me back. He addresses a lot of that in a way that much more so than the first 2 books that I reviewed on ancestral work that I really enjoyed and still recommend, but this goes into such exquisite depth. It does not leave you feeling like okay, now I understand, or now I get what I can do, but I don't know how to do it. He really goes through and walks you through how to do it. I can't say enough about this book. Get the book. This book, if you want to work with ancestors, you need to have this book. Dr. Danielle Foor, you did a fantastic job. Thank you. And in the process of reading this book, I had Elliot reach out to him because I really want to find specific people, to write a couple of different blog posts for the website on ancestor work, so you have as many options and examples of how to work with your ancestors as I can give you. And he was unable to do a blog post for us, although he did have a recommendation for someone who could, because he is in the middle of like a shutdown. He's writing a second book, and I am grateful. I have no idea what this book is about, but when I read this, I thought, what else has he written? I have to read everything he's ever written, and this is the only thing that's out there right now. So it was really kind of exciting for me as a new fangirl to realize that he's in the process of writing something else. And I have no idea what it is, but I will probably read it. This book. Woo! Yeah, get it. Get the book. And what else? I think that I have one more book on ancestral work that I have in my pile to read. It's the Christopher Penchak book, but it's not specifically ancestral work so much as it is about working with the mighty dead. That book is going to be a much different, I think. It's a much different angle. It's a different topic almost altogether, but I'm excited to read it because I'm really loving the whole just Christopher Penchak in general is like a new thing for me, and I'm really excited about reading it. But I feel like we've almost reached the end and this is it. Honestly, I really think if you're interested in this work, get it, get it, get it. I try not to be so emphatic about things like this, but get this book. You must get this book. Yeah, if you've been reading any of these along, I know some of you have bought the first couple of books that I recommended on ancestral work. If you finish them, if you have thoughts, I'd love to hear about it. Things are happening. It's October. I'm really invigorated by this month, this time of the year. I also tend to want to retreat to create, and there's just a lot of... I've got Post-it notes all over that wall of all the ideas that are just coming through. And so it's always, I mean, we all love October, right? I love this time of the month or this time of the year. So whatever you need is in the description box below. And there'll be another video in a few days. I want to hear from you. Tell me what it is. I'm really loving the conversations that we're having and the comments that I'm getting on these videos. So keep them coming. I'm loving it. And that's it. I wish you all a beautiful week and we'll talk soon. Bye.